review for Transformers 4 Age of Extinction Deluxe SCORN, and I do feel he is aptly named because that was kind of my reaction when we saw we were getting Dinobots in Age of Extinction, and we got a Tyrannosaur, and a Triceratops, and a two-headed pterodactyl, or, Pteranodon, and then not a Brachiosaur, and then, most importantly, as you know, I love Stegosaurs, and then not a Stegosaur. But having the toy in hand and looking at the base model, we'll see how he turns out in the movie itself. But I gotta kind of retract a little bit of that ire, because it turns out he's actually a pretty fun little toy. Now he comes in the standard new Age of Extinction packaging with the robot mode. He does come packaged in Dino mode, unlike many of the other characters that are coming packaged in, let's say, mostly robot mode. Because, like I said, Crosshairs was packaged as like a car with arms. He's got the same bright white logo here on the left, which again is clear on the front with white behind it. It's actually kind of a neat effect. And I do think this packaging is going to pop on the shelves. Like I said, I know some people think it looks too kiddie, but it really is kind of elegant and looks really nice in hand. And then the standard character art behind him, which again seems to reinforce the idea that, much like Grimlock, a lot of the Dinobots in this movie are going to be gunmetal with some goldish highlights in random little bits, and not nearly as vibrant and distinctive from each other as the Dinobots here on the toy line, and it's almost kind of a shame. Like, I know we don't need them to be bright red and orange and butterscotch and copper and purple and pink or whatever, like teals that we're getting the toys in, and I appreciate that, because a lot of dull gray toys would be boring on the shelf. But I would like to see, and again, we haven't seen, this is just the packaging art, we haven't actually seen the final version from the movie, outside of like a pretty decent look at Grimlock and a little bit at Strafe. But chances are they're not going to be these vibrant purples and reds and oranges and pinks and coppers and blacks and stuff that we're seeing, which is a little disappointing, but not the end of the world. So yeah, and there's the bio on the back, and again, no twist ties in this one, just couple pieces of filler plastic, and then the dinosaur itself. And speaking of the dinosaur itself, here he is. He's red with some really bright orange highlights, which also makes me giddy, because again, if you've watched my videos, you know how much I love orange. And orange and red together is a great combination. Wink, wink. And I'm winking for something completely unrelated to Transformers, but I do think orange with red detailing or red with orange detailing is a great idea. Now, anyway, this is SCORN. He looks kind of like a Velociraptor Spinosaurus mix. Maybe he's supposed to be a full-size Spinosaurus, and he's just a deluxe figure, and so he looks smaller. But I'm not entirely sure exactly which dinosaur he is. I called Tyrannosaur Carnotaurus because that's what I'd heard he was referred to as, because I didn't recognize him when they showed him. But and apparently that was incorrect. So I apologize. Because Carnotaurus was not one of the ones I was aware of when I was a kid. Like, I remember Tyrannosaurus and Stegosaurus and, Brontosaurus, which I think they've just proved was not actually a Brontosaurus. It was like the wrong skull and the wrong neck of a standard Brachiosaur. A lot of things that we have learned since I was a kid. But you got to remember, like, I was a kid a long time ago, and we have learned things since then. So I apologize if I get this wrong. But he does kind of have, he's like a raptor-esque shape with a fin on his back, and he looks very striking. It's really cool, especially the way they've picked out some of the details on these gray spines in red, along with the red and gold down here, or the red and orange down here. Now he comes packaged. When you open him up out of the package, he's kind of packaged like this, with his mouth open, and his tail is actually unhooked, rotated down, and stuck between his legs in order to get. See if I can even approximate this. It's kind of folded up down here to get him into the plastic bubble. So know that when you first open him, the first thing you need to do is open them up. He also comes with this little blade that comes out of his tail, and that's separate. So you put the blade in his tail, bring this up and around, pull this piece down right here, fold it up, and this little piece, there's a little tab right here that tabs into this lower piece to complete the dinosaur mode. And then you have the complete dinosaur mode, which is kind of cool. He can open and close his mouth. His head's on a little bit of a joint here. His legs are on ball joints, so you can get some posability out of them. Although there are certain poses that you just he'll fall back. If you put him in like a configuration, you can make him stand up a little bit like that, which is not the end of the world. But to have him in more of a walking on his legs pose, he does have to angle forward a little bit, just due to the way the feet are. As you can see, the way these claws curve up, it does kind of, even when you think you're sitting flat, it does kind of tend to tilt the legs back just a little bit from true flat on the bottom of the foot. So he tends to be a little back heavy even when you have the hips rotated all the way back like you should. You do kind of still have to have him leaning forward slightly in poses for him to balance like that. A minor issue, but it is present. And like I said, his neck can rotate here from side to side, and then his jaw can open and close. You got to get in there. But he does not have auto jaw gimmick like Grimlock did. And that's about it for posability here in Dino mode. But it's enough. There's ball joints on his limbs, and you can get some menacing dinosaur poses out of him. Speaking of Grimlock, here he is, comparison, again, longer but much less mass, and slightly shorter if you discount the fin, and the fin is just some thin little plastic up there, than Grimlock. But the Dinobots together are starting to look like a really neat team, especially in robot mode. So I'm really looking forward to getting the 5 of them, which I think I've mentioned in the previous video for Grimlock. Now, transform him. It's actually pretty intuitive and not too difficult. Close up the mouth and bring his head forward like this. Bring the hips down. Fold these little panels here side down. I don't know if that's intended to imply that he's got jaws in his butt or upper thigh hip area, but he does have some spikes here on these hip guards. The legs come down and all the way forward. And then again, all the way forward like that, so the knee comes all the way up into here. And then the middle toe flips forward to form the front of the robot mode's foot. Just like that. This piece right here folds down and locks into place here. And forms kind of the abdomen and crotch guard here on the robot. You bring this whole piece assembly down, which allows the waist to rotate. And this is where it gets neat, because you unpeg these and rotate them and peg them onto the back. Just like this. They peg right in there. And then, as you rotate the waist, that whole assembly raises up a little bit. Now when you go back, you have to push it down manually. But as you rotate it from there, this whole head center section raises up and pops the head up to a position where you can pull it up out of the body and then position it however you see fit. I did do Vangelis's trick of filing down the back of the head a little bit, because right out of the package he can look down like this, or you kind of push him past his limit and then up like that. As you file down just the back of the helmet at a slight angle on either side of where the ball joint goes, you can get a much more natural range of motion out of his helmet. So yeah, fold this down. Then this arm comes down and just basically becomes a lance on this arm. There's no hand hidden in there, which is a little disappointing. I would have liked to have seen maybe something like Beast Wars Megatron, where you could attach the tail but then have a fist underneath. But a lance is not a non-medieval weapon, and he does have a very knight-ish look to him. So it works, I think. You can leave this down. You can fold it up however you wish. If you fold it up, it does stick out. You can kind of fold that up behind his shoulders and give him a little bit of a backpack, or you can just kind of fold it down and use it to kind of fill in some of the empty places around his waist, which again isn't bad, and he does still maintain a waist swivel here. I guess a mid-abdomen swivel, really. Yeah, so that actually doesn't look too bad. And then over here, you bring the head around, rotate it up, fold the fist down out of the head, and you can leave it like that. If you don't want to see through his head, it looks like he's got a hand sticking out of a dinosaur head on his arm. But there it is. That's an option. You can also take this piece right here. You can also, the intended way is to flip this up to form kind of a shield on this arm, although like I said, that does leave a hollow part there where you'd see right through his forearm. And then the knife, the serrated dagger, large dagger that he comes with, fits in his other hand just fine. And there he is, looking very, I really like the design of this. I love the way the spines become these fins, very dynamic fins on the back of the robot mode. It's very striking, and it's really, really neat. His head design, it looks very basic, but it does represent a traditional knight bucket from ye olden days. And when you look at it up close, it's really not as flat and undetailed as you look. It has a lot of broad, flat panels, but it's got some nice curvature to it, as well as some detail around the top and sides that makes it look really nice. I love the look of the visor slit in kind of a metallic minty green, the same color as his dinosaur eyes here on the head, and it's just really, really striking. Posability-wise, you've got the ball joint at the neck, dual swivel shoulders, a bicep swivel, hinges at the elbows, and again, you got a little bit of a wrist hinge here on this hand as well as the jaw on the outside. A mid-ab swivel, I guess. dual hinge hips, there's the word. You do have a thigh swivel, double jointed knees, and then you do have a little bit of range of motion in the toe here for whatever poses you might require that support from. But yeah, very striking, very cool, and I really do like his overall basic design. He looks cool, and again, as the see the Dinobots come together as a team, I really like the motif of the knights slash, you know, honorable warrior type designs they've got going in on the robots. And since we did it with Crosshairs and Prime, keep the dinos together. Here is SCORN with Grimlock in robot mode together. And again, like I said, I really like the way these are starting to look together as a team, and I really like just the way SCORN looks overall. I think if you had to pick one, like, of the Dinobots I've played with so far, i.e. 2, SCORN is really the better of the two, I think. SCORN, like, just by himself, is actually a really fun figure, and one of the highlights of the wave, at least of the Deluxes so far for me. As of right now, of the 4 I've got, he's right behind Evasion Optimus as my favorite figures in the line. He's really cool. The colors on him are really nice and pop really well, and I really like the overall motif, especially some of the stuff that, like I said, I do wish he had a hand over here, but that's a minor nitpick because I love the way the helmet looks. I love the design of it, and I just love the colors and the way they blend up into this really striking silhouette with these fins on his back. I think his robot mode is just outstanding, and definitely one to pick up when the store hits shelves if you're not lucky enough to be in Canada, or one of the handful of American Walmarts that now have apparently put some merchandise out on the shelves, although I don't know if anybody has successfully purchased them, but there's some of the quick change things that have been hitting shelves in the Walmarts in America. But yeah, definitely one to pick up when they hit retail. It is Age of Extinction Deluxe SCORN.